Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, for nerds, by nerds, hang out with these nerds.
Nate the Nerdarch.
Nerdarch is Ted.
And our intro into D&D series continues as we discuss The Fighter. We want to start this video by thanking Easy Roller Dice, official Nerdarchy sponsor. Whether it's your first set of dice or your 1 millionth set of dice, Easy Roller Dice, you can find a link to easyrollerdice.com/nerdarchy in the description below, as well as a special coupon code for a one-time 20% discount. Go get your Easy Roller Dice. So today we're talking about fighters from the Player's Handbook for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. You can find them on page 70.
Intro to D&D series. The fighter is an awesome character for anyone who actually likes to get into combat, whether it be melee or ranged.
They're going to excel at combat more than any other class in the game. What are some good examples of fighters that someone could look to if they're building one?
Well, you've got like the hardened outpost guard, or the showman gladiator, or the like the questing knights. Those are all good examples of different fighters.
And right, they would all be fighters, even though they might do it in a different way.
So I would say Legolas from the Lord of the Rings movie,
or Gimli from the same movie as well. So would you guys say maybe the fighter is one of the most hardy combatants in the game?
Oh yeah, they're pretty tough.
They have the second largest hit die, which makes them the hardiest. And when you stack that with the other things that they get, I think it actually kind of pushes them towards the top.
Yeah, and for saves, they're going to be in the Constitution save, which is a big one, and Strength. So they're not going to get pushed around that easy.
You know, going on to what I was saying about the things that they have access to, they actually get the most proficiencies in regards to weapons and armor.
That's true, but at the same time, they get the least when it comes to their skill proficiencies. Not only do they get less than a lot of the other classes, with 2 being the least of any of the character classes, they also have the small selection as well.
Hey, but they get shields, so, you know, not everybody gets that.
Speaking of shields, some of them will use them in their fighting styles, some will not. The fighter gets the most fighting styles of all the warrior classes.
Well, they have access to the whole selection.
Yeah, that being archery, defensive, dueling, great weapon fighting, 2-weapon fighting, and protection.
Now, these fighting styles, they're going to guide you down the path of what type of character that you're going to want to actually play. So I would use a little bit of caution in picking it, because once you pick it, it's not something that typically changes. So archery is for anyone who's actually going to want to excel in ranged combat. So like this doesn't count for when you're throwing things like daggers. It's more for your bows and the like. It has to have the ranged property.
And as Ted said, that it's really important which one you choose. If you're having trouble choosing, you could always pick defense, because as long as you're going to wear armor, you're going to get something. You're going to get a plus to AC.
Right, or if you want to be more of a support type character as a warrior, as a fighter, you can take protection, and as long as you're using a shield and you have an ally adjacent to you, you can use that shield to help defend them.
Absolutely. Now, if you are more interested in making more attacks, taking 2-weapon fighting is going to allow you to excel at using a weapon in both hands.
And also, if you want to emulate a famous fighter like Drizzt Do'Urden, that would be the fighting style for you as well.
Absolutely.
They're great weapon fighting. Now, that's if you just want to swing heavy things around. They're going to allow you to do more damage on average.
On average, yeah.
And dueling is going to allow you to really hit home if you're going to just use that single weapon.
Yeah, perfect for if you're making a flashy swashbuckler, 3 Musketeer type character.
Now, the fighter has access to some really cool abilities that nobody else gets.
Whether you're talking about their action surge ability or their second wind ability, it's pretty sweet stuff.
Second wind really allows you to literally mid-combat just be like, all right, I need to just shrug off some of this damage. It doesn't matter whether the cleric's close or not. You could be like, all right, I want to just heal this up and keep going.
And action surge is a great way to dominate the battlefield with quick, successive attacks.
So one of the key features to all your character classes, whether we're talking fighter, barbarian, whatever, that's kind of is kind of unique to the fighter at the same time, is the fact that stat bumps are tied to your character class. The fighter gets more stat bumps than any other class in the game.
Now that's going to allow for a lot of customization as you pick which stats get bumped up.
Or if you're actually using the optional rules of taking feats, that's going to really be able to make your character that much more unique on the battlefield.
Yeah, feats are another great way to customize your character if you choose to do those instead of the stat bumps.
Now, the one place that the fighter excels more than any other character in the game, any other class in the game, and that is at making attacks. You want to know why? Because they can make a lot of them.
A lot of attacks.
While some classes will actually allow you to get a second attack and occasionally be able to do things that might bump that up to more, the fighter actually, once he gets high enough level, gets access to 4 attacks every round, all day long, and that's not even counting whether he wants to use a weapon in his offhand.
Pretty significant. So with that, we had 3 different paths, 3 different professions, 3 different ways to be a fighter, right in the player's handbook.
All right, so you've got Champion, Battlemaster, and Eldritch Knight. All of them offer distinct ways to make your fighter an awesome character.
I personally like Battlemaster the best because it's a more cerebral character, because it takes into account like martial theory as well as the application of that martial theory, and that shows itself in these things called maneuvers, and they get superiority die to activate those maneuvers.
Those maneuvers allow you to literally change the layout of the battlefield, whether you're knocking people down to the ground, whether you're pushing them back, disarming them, or other things along those lines.
I kind of see the Battlemaster as the most strategic of the fighters. Then, we have the kind of like the vanilla path for fighter, and that is a champion. But let's make no mistake. This I say vanilla because he is plain, it's simple, but it's effective. It works.
The most exceptional of vanillas.
The champion is literally your 80s hero action movie guy. He's got the ability to, with his increased crit range that he gets a couple of times throughout his levels, he's got the ability to hit harder than any other character in the game with just a normal swing. And then you couple that with...
He's naturally the most athletic. Eventually, he gets regeneration like Wolverine. There's one thing above all that that is unique to any other archetype, any other classes. They actually get an additional fighting style.
Which those fighting styles can greatly change the way your character is built. So coupling 2 of them together really allows you to make some great changes with your character.
Yeah, thematically, you're going to look different on the battlefield. We kind of glossed over the fact that they get an increased crit range, but that's really significant because nobody else in the game gets that.
So the last is the Eldritch Knight, and this is a fighter who literally gains access to magic while still being an exceptional fighter.
Yeah, these guys are putting the sword and sorcery in swords and sorcery for sure.
Yeah.
And they get to unique things like weapon bond, where they can basically magically bind a weapon to them so they can summon it with a thought.
And while they get access to magic at the same time, it doesn't inhibit them wearing armor. So you could have a guy literally with a giant axe, a shield, covered in plate mail, and he's twiddling his little finger and casting fireball at you.
Now, while the Eldritch Knight can cast spells, they are not considered a full caster. They only get 1st through 4th level spells.
But the spells they they are able to actually combine them with their fighting. So they get abilities that allow them to cast spells and make weapon attacks in the same round. So that's kind of unique. It's kind of fun. It's definitely flavorful. So fighters, who makes the best fighters? What races are going to lean towards these?
Well, any races that are going to give you physical bumps, whether it be strength, dex, or con, it doesn't matter, is going to allow a fighter to excel. Because if you get something where you play an elf, you could go with archery, and you could be an elven archer with dex being your primary stat, whereas if you wanted to go with more physical attacks, you could go with a half-orc who is naturally stronger.
Yeah, that's a good point. There's literally 2 different ways to build your fighter. One is the dex build, and one is the strength build. So your primary stat, you want one of those. And then there's many of them that get a secondary stat of con. So having strength con or dex con, any race that gets those is going to be a huge boon to them. And like you said, half orc, elf, even one of the halfling builds gives you a bonus to dex and con.
Now, I would say that, dwarves, while some of their stuff does duplicate within the fighter, dwarves are natural fighters with the things that they have access to.
That's true. The mountain dwarf is actually unique in the sense that it is one of the few races that gets a +4 to stats total, and they just happen to be strength and con. So as a warrior, that's going to be significantly handy. Or even the hill dwarf, which is going to get a bonus hit point, making them extra tanky.
Extra, absolutely.
And as with most classes, there's always human.
Yeah, humans are, basically good at everything, with having access to, the variant where you can put your 2 points wherever you want and get a feat, or if you go with the standard, you literally get a +1 to everything.
Yeah, so you're going to be able to customize your character to make it the way you want. Half those are very similar to that as well. And also, there's the Dragonborn, which is a strength-based character as well. And thematically, they just make cool fighters.
They do.
Now, if we didn't mention your favorite race, don't worry about it. You can still play a fighter. You can always play whatever you want.
If you have any questions about playing fighters or how to actually build a fighter, you can put those comments down below, and either ourselves or one of our awesome fans will be more than happy to help you out. While you're down there, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
You can check the description for the link to easyroller.com/nerdarchy, and don't forget that coupon code for 20%.
You can also check out the articles over at nerdarchy.com.
So until next time,
Stay nerdy.